Yes, hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the first chess game video which I am uploading. This was against a chess.com bot called as Christian Pulisic, who was rated 1500. I was playing as white, so let us look at the moves that I made. I started with e4, one of the most common moves. He responded with c5, the Sicilian. I moved ahead with the normal moves, which is knight to f3, so that I can defend the d4 square wherein I can put in the next pawn. He responded with the typical d6, and then I put the pawn where I already have a support with the knight. So he responded by taking the pawn. I took it back with my knight, and then he brought out his knight to c6, again attacking my knight as well, but that is supported by my queen. My response, I brought out my bishop to b5 because the bishop would pin this knight to the king. His response, he brought out his bishop to unpin this. Now you can see my bishop is attacking his knight. My knight is also attacking his knight, and he has a defender, which is this bishop, and his knight is also attacking my knight. So I could have taken either way, but I first brought out another knight. This knight is to support this particular pawn, and then the exchange will take place. He took my knight. I responded by taking his bishop. Now obviously he will have to take because this is a check, and the queen would obviously take the bishop. That is what it did, and then I could take his knight with my queen. Okay. From here on, he brought his queen to c7. As of now, I am still okay. The knight is supported by this pawn. I castled. He brought out the pawn attacking my queen, so obviously the queen would have to go back. I moved the queen back all the way. Knight comes out. I put the rook on e1, supporting this particular pawn as well. His rook came out, and then because of this position I took the advantage of this and pinned his knight to the rook. But then he attacked with the pawn, so obviously I had to go back. I again went back all the way, whereas I could have kept it somewhere in between as well. Now his pawn again moved one step forward. The reason I did this particular move h3 is, one obviously is, if the king is attacked sometime, the king should have a place to go on the second rank, because if somebody checks from this side, you should have a place to go. Plus I thought that if he moves his other pawns ahead, if I take, he takes, let's say I take this side, his pawn comes here, I take it, he'll take back, and then his rook has an open file. His queen came out, and then my second pawn again, b2 pawn went to b3, because obviously the queen was attacking this. So now this is well supported, the queen cannot take this. The queen still came here. I moved my knight so that now the knight could attack the queen, it could attack this knight, and it is supported. The queen came to c5, and then once again I took advantage. Since this pawn had already moved 2 places, my bishop could once again go back here and pin this knight to the rook. Still the knight went ahead and took, so now it gives me an easy chance to take his rook for free. I took it. Obviously the king will take it back. Now I can again take his knight, and even the queen is attacking the same square. So the knight went to c3 and attacked my queen. I moved the queen one place, and then his queen came face to face offering an exchange. I did not want an exchange because if I took, he would take with his black pawn, and then his knight would have a support. And this knight here is dangerous because this knight controls this square. He attacks this, he controls this, he controls this. This takes away a lot of places from my rooks, which is why I did not want an exchange with the queen. So instead I put it here where the queen has support. In case he's interested to take, then I'll take it back. He did not take, his king took the bishop. I moved the pawn here because he has a dark square bishop, and all my pawns on this side are on light square bishops, so this bishop cannot attack this side. His queen came, the king came to d7, and then I moved this pawn as I was saying earlier. This is to prevent him taking with the pawn and then his rook getting open file. I did not want his rook to have an open space, so I simply blocked his pawn with my pawn. The queen took, so obviously I had to take, and now my rook also attacked his knight. The pawn came forward. I took the knight. Now since the pawn is attacking my rook, I had to go to the right. His king went back. I put my pawn forward attacking the d4 square. Bishop came out to support. I attacked the bishop. Bishop went back. I pushed it forward once again to light squared squares wherein the bishop could not attack. Another pawn comes forward. I took, he took, and then obviously again once again attack on my rook. Rook is good to place here because then the rook can attack both these pawns. So his bishop took the free pawn here, that's okay. I moved ahead, now I could also attack the bishop and this pawn. Bishop went back, I took the pawn, and hence the bishop is now pinned to the king. The other rook, his rook came to h7. I brought on my rook as well. Now obviously he wanted to support the bishop with his rook, which is why the pawn went down, and I sent my second rook where it is very powerful. He could not do much because the bishop is pinned, bishop cannot move, and the bishop is also blocking this particular rook. I could easily take both these pawns. I took the first pawn, I took the second pawn, and now the king unpinned himself. So I brought my pawn forward. The idea is I could push them and make them into queen. These are passed pawns, there is no one blocking them. But he also had the same plans. He wanted to move both these pawns forward. I pushed forward, he pushed forward, and then I thought there is a risk because this rook is behind the pawns, which is normally a good place to be, and that supports this pawns going forward. And if he manages to make this a queen, it would be dangerous for me. That's why my rook was ahead of my pawns, not behind. It was forward of the pawns, not behind them, which is why I thought this was a bit of a dangerous situation. It's better that I exchange this. If I exchange all the pieces, I would still have 5 pawns compared to his 2 pawns, which would give me a big advantage. So I took with the rook, he took back, I again took back, and his king took back. So that's it, 2 kings, and then I have 5 pawns and he has 2 pawns, and this pawn has an easy route to queen. I push forward, king could not stop it. I made it a queen. I pushed the second pawn forward. He pushed his pawn forward. I took it, he took it, and my king simply blocked his path. This pawn is stuck, he cannot go anywhere. The king took my pawn, I pushed ahead, he moved to the side, I made it a queen. Now two queens you could checkmate in different ways. The easiest way that I know of and the one that I'm mostly comfortable with is to keep blocking the path when we don't want the king to go. So now I wanted to push the king towards the bottom. So the plan is to stop the roots above it. Okay. So I brought my queen above the king. This blocks this particular path. King goes down, again stop the next path, and he went to the last line. Again I blocked it with my queen. Now the king does not have any place to go. He cannot go above, so he can only go sideways, which is fine, and then I can simply bring my other queen for a checkmate. So this was the game which I played with a 1500 bot, and I managed to checkmate him with white pieces. Thank you for watching. I'll upload another video soon wherein for the first time I managed to beat a 1600 chess.com bot. Thank you.